Hello, everyone, and welcome to Baffling Bygones, the podcast where we dive into some of the most fascinating moments in history, whether they're light and fun or dark and thought-provoking. I'm your host, Carter Graham, and today we are exploring one of World War II's darkest and most secretive operations, Operation Reinhardt. But don't worry, I'm not here to bore you with the dry facts. We're going to make this engaging, easy to follow, and packed with details that'll leave you thinking, I didn't know that. Let's travel back to 1942. The war is raging on, and Nazi Germany controls much of Europe. They've already invaded Poland and a number of other countries, and at this point, they're not just fighting battles. They're executing one of the most horrifying campaigns in human history. This is called the Final Solution. That's code name for their plan to exterminate all Jews under their control, and that's where Operation Reinhardt comes in. Before we dive into the gory details, let's talk about the name, Operation Reinhardt. It's named after Reinhard Heydrich, a top Nazi official who was, in a nutshell, one of the architects of the Holocaust. He was ruthless, calculating, and, well, he was downright evil. Heydrich was also the head of the Reich Security Main Office, responsible for organizing the extermination of millions and millions of Jews. But in 1942, he was assassinated in what's now the Czech Republic, and in response, the Nazis accelerated their genocide plans. Now let's get into the start of Operation Reinhardt, the creation of 3 massive extermination camps. These camps are located in what is now Poland, and they were specifically designed for one thing only, murder. And when I say they were efficient, they were disturbingly efficient. The 3 camps were named Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka. The Nazis set up these camps quickly and systematically to murder Jewish people who were transported by rail train across from Europe. There was no work here, no labor. These camps existed solely for extermination. Once people arrived, they were told they were going to take showers. But these showers were also actually gas chambers, and with hours, almost everyone was dead, and no one left these camps alive. This was genocide at an industrial scale. In total, 1.7 million Jewish people were killed in these camps, but there were also Romani people, Soviet prisoners of war, and others caught in the Nazis' horrifying web. And get this, most of the victims were killed in just over a year. Imagine that, millions of lives taken so quickly and efficiently. But here's where things get even more disturbing. By 1943, the Nazis knew they were losing the war, so they decided to destroy the evidence of their crimes. They didn't want the world to know what really happened in these camps. The operation was called Operation 1005, and its goal was to cover up their actions. Prisoners who had survived the camps were forced to exhume bodies from mass graves and burn them. They even destroyed the buildings at the camps and planted trees all over the sites to make it look like nothing had happened. But even with these desperate efforts to hide their crimes, they couldn't completely erase the evidence. Survivors, Allied forces, and brave resistance fighters managed to tell the story, and today we remember the horrors of Operation Reinhardt. So why does this matter? Why do we care about this? What's the meaning? Well, Operation Reinhardt, decades after the war, we can never forget it. These camps don't just kill people, they crushed entire communities. Families were torn apart, cultures were destroyed, and innocent lives were obliterated. But the most important thing we can do is remember these victims, not just in numbers, but in stories. Every person who died had a name, a life, a family, and friends. It's our duty to keep their memory alive. Plus, Operation Reinhardt serves as a terrifying reminder of how systematic, cold, and organized mass murder can be when people turn a blind eye and hatred runs unchecked. So the next time you think about World War II, remember that it wasn't just soldiers on the front lines or tanks rolling into cities. There was another battle taking place. A quiet, brutal campaign against millions of innocent people. And remembering operations like Reinhardt is crucial because it also teaches us not only about the depths of human cruelty, but also about the resilience of those who fought back, survived, and shared their stories with the world. Thank you so much for tuning in to Baffling Bygones. If this episode made you stop and think, share it with a friend, and let's keep the conversation going. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the past. I'll see you next time. I'm your host, Carter Graham. Stay curious.